Hi guys! I decided to do my ergonomics project on retail work because that is currently what I am in. So here's a little show of my brochure. I have a few parts of it. So here's a girl working in retail standing. So retail work is not easy. It involves lots of standing in awkward positions and for long durations of time. Depending on where you work in retail, the ground you stand on can play a huge role in the aches and pains you may have. And forceful exertions are also a big concern of retail employees. So retail work-related factors include awkward postures, which means standing or sitting in a position that is not comfortable for multiple amounts of time. Repetitive motion includes lifting, typing, or even sitting continuously. Forceful exertions are causing muscle ache, and this can result in MSD. So MSD is musculoskeletal disorder, kind of a mouthful, but the symptoms may include tingling, aching, muscle fatigue, and inflammation of the tendons. Not fun. So here's an example of my work where we are standing on our feet the entire time, but we do have the mats, which are nice. And we were working with clients for 8 hours. So here's my other portion of my brochure. So ergonomics is a study of people's efficiency in their work environment. So as an employer, you need to make sure that your employees are comfortable and safe because they're not going to do their work efficiently if they're not. So ways to avoid risk factors include avoiding awkward postures, so making sure you're comfortable 100% of the time and trying to sit up straight and stand straight as much as you can. Repetitive motion, so change tasks as often as possible. Try certain stretches to make sure your muscles are not going to cramp up. And avoiding forceful exertions in MSD, stretch your neck and back as often as possible. Take breaks when needed, and stand on mats if your feet are starting to hurt. And make sure you communicate with your manager if you're starting to feel any pain. And here's proper ways to stand. So you have to make sure that you are straight, but you're not trying to be really straight and your butt's not out, and that you're not slouching. And make sure your back's not all the way back there and you're not slouching forward. So I also included lifting because lifting is another really big part of retail work. Whether it's heavy or not, you need to make sure that you are lifting the proper way because even if it's light, you can still hurt your back if you are doing it the wrong way. So here's a proper way to lift. Make sure your knees are bent and your back is not. And make sure your butt is not up and that your whole back is not the one lifting. So those are some of the stretches. So as an employer, you need to know that retail work is always going to be around. So you need to make sure your employees are safe and comfortable. So it is your job as an employer to be approachable if any employees have any physical or mental problems. If you notice an employee on the computer or on the floor for countless hours without a break, tell them to go get some fresh air or to go to stretch a little bit. Many times employees are afraid to make a mistake, so they do everything in their power to do their job perfectly, but it can take a toll on their body. I had this problem when I started working in retail because it was my first retail job. I didn't want to say that my feet hurt or that my back hurt, and it ended up not being good. So make sure training is done thoroughly from the beginning so there's no misunderstanding. And mats are also necessary if employees are on their feet for 6 or more hours. So this is especially apparent in retail work. So as an employee, if you are feeling sore or weak during a working shift, make sure to communicate with your employer. Do not take on any more than you can't handle. The challenge with working retail is figuring out your customers' wants and needs. So which you cannot do without catering to your own wants and needs. So it's as simple as that. Make sure your body and yourself is comfortable, and as an employer, make sure you're your employees are comfortable, because if they're not going to be able to sell the product. So here are some stretches that I do regularly at work. This is a child's pose, and I can show you how to do these too. So to stretch your shoulders, hold your body like this and push as much as you can for about 10 seconds. And then do the same thing on the other side. And then for your neck, I like to put my hands behind my neck and push down. And then I also take my head to one side and then do the same on the other side. And a lot of people like to roll. And this just helps relieve any tension. And the back, for your back, you can just get on the ground and do a child's pose. It's a really easy, and it's a good way to stretch your back. So that's my project. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Have a wonderful rest of your semester.